Hello and welcome back to Plain Brown Rapper Ministry. My name is Cindy, and I have a story to tell you. Um, Always before I do these videos, I pray and I ask God, like, what would you like me to say in my message? Because this is his thing. I I tell you what's I pray about it anyway, and he gives me ideas. And this time it was the desires of our heart. And I thought, hey, that's a good one because everybody, we always want something. We always think like, I want a bigger house, I want more money, I want more status, I want a better husband, I want a better wife, I want a good looking partner, and blah 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 da 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 da. But the thing is, every person everywhere has this same desire of their heart. If we dig deep past all that other material and possessions and all that other kind of stuff, what everyone is looking for is to be loved and accepted and valued. These are the desires of our hearts. And God created us and designed us. There's a void in our heart when it comes to these things, and only He can fill it. And only until we have Him do we realize that that's what the desire of our heart is to be loved and accepted and valued. And we can only receive that from Him when we accept Jesus as our Savior and commit our lives to Him. So anyway, the verse that goes with the desires of your heart is found in Psalm 37, verse 4. And I read this song because I like to just make sure I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to just start cherry picking verses without context. So I read Psalm 37. I'm not going to read it to you guys. You can look it up if you want. But I did find some notes to take out of it because it's a good psalm that kind of shows us what the Lord does, what the righteous people do, and what the wicked people do, and what's going to happen. So I pulled out some notes, and I'll read them to you, and you can read the psalm and look this up for yourself. Okay, so what the Lord does, He gives the desires of the heart, which is in verse 4, and like I said, it's to be loved, accepted, and valued. He makes our righteousness shine and the justice of our cause shine like the dawn and noonday sun. Verse 6. He gives people an inheritance of land. Verse 9. He laughs at the wicked because he knows their day is coming. I mean, I love that. It's like the wicked are scammering around doing all their stuff, and God's just laughing at them because he knows their days are numbered. And really, their numbers is getting closer and closer to being up. It's like, it's not the lottery that they're going to win, but their number is coming. So he upholds the righteous, verse 17. He takes care of the blameless or the innocent, in verse 18. The Lord blesses and he curses, verse 22. He delights in the way of the man whose steps he has made firm, in 23. Because, once he's made us firm and our steps are led by him, or we want to follow him. So the Lord holds our hand, verse 24. The Lord loves the just and will not forsake them, verse 28. He will protect them forever, verse 28. That's comforting. Like the Lord will protect me forever. So why should I be afraid of stuff, right? Once we start living this truth, life gets interesting, less fearful. He's our stronghold in times of trouble, verse 39. And our salvation comes from him, verse 39. The Lord helps and delivers the righteous from the wicked, verse 40. And the Lord is our refuge. That's again in verse 40. So those are some of the things what the Lord does. And then what the righteous do, the godly people are supposed to do, is these are the people who know God, who have that relationship with him. So we're not supposed to fret or worry about the wicked, verse 1. We're not supposed to be envious of those who do wrong, verse 1. We need to trust in the Lord, verse 3, and do good, verse 3. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. So, it's like, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. We can just, lay down in the pasture and be gone. And delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. So there is a condition. We need to delight in him. And we can't delight in him if we don't know him. And that's verse 4. Commit everything to the Lord, verse 5. Trust the Lord, verse 5. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently, verse 7. Do not fret when men of wicked schemes succeed in their ways. Like, how many times do we see people succeeding and they're like doing bad stuff, and yet they're getting away with it and succeeding, and it just, you know, grinds our gears. But we're not supposed to fret when we see that happening, because we know that God's going to take care of it. So that's verse 7. Refrain from anger and wrath in verse 8. Like, control your temper. Do not fret, it leads to evil. Did you catch that? Fretting is worrying, and it just leads to evil. Because when we're fretting and worrying, we're not trusting God. So, yeah, we have to be careful of that. We have to hope in the Lord, verse 9. My glasses have a glare on them. I'm trying to do. We won't wither in times of disaster, verse 19. We'll enjoy plenty in times of famine, verse 19. We give generously, verse 21. We may stumble, but we won't fall, verse 24. We will age, verse 25. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. You can delay it, but it's going to happen. Our children will be blessed, verse 26. We need to turn from evil and do good, verse 27. We will be protected forever, verse 28. We will inherit the land, verse 29. We speak with wisdom and say what is just, verse 30. The law of God is in our hearts, verse 31. That's so important. We need to keep the law of God in our hearts. Our feet will not slip, verse 31. Wait for the Lord and keep his way, verse 34. Consider the blameless, observe the upright, and be people of peace. That's all from verse 37. And take refuge in the Lord. He's our hiding place. Okay, and what the wicked do. This is an interesting list. Like, we all know wicked people. We've been wicked ourselves. Before we knew the Lord, we were considered sinners and wicked people. So what the wicked, they do wrong in verse 1. Most importantly, they do wrong. Verse 2, they wither and die away. Verse 7, they succeed in their evil ways. They will be cut off. Verse 9. They will be no more in a little while. Verse 10. So you know what? They have an end date, whereas we don't. They plot against the righteous in verse 12. They gnash their teeth at the righteous in verse 12. But their day is coming in verse 13. It says that. They draw the sword and bend the bow in verse 14. And they bring down the poor and the needy and slay those who are upright. Again, that's verse 14. Their swords will pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. Or bows will be broken. The Lord's going to do that. They can be wealthy. Like, how many rich people do you know who are evil? Their power will be broken. The wicked will perish, verse 20. They will vanish like smoke, verse 20. Right now, it's May, and there are wildfires in Alberta all over everywhere. So there's a lot of smoke. It's hard to breathe. My voice is getting raspy. And, you know, I'm not as close as some that have to deal with that. And the smoke is intimidating and scary because it comes from fire. But once the fire is put out, the smoke vanishes and it'll be gone and remembered no more. It'll be a memory. So back to the wicked. They borrow and they do not repay. That's verse 21. Their offspring will be cut off. Verse 28. The wicked lie in wait, seeking the lives of the righteous. Verse 32. They just don't like us because it's like a mirror, and they see the goodness in us, and they know that they're not. And I think that annoys them because it's not like we go around shining a flashlight and pointing our finger and judging people, but But we know we're sinners. We know, right? Like we're not righteous. Our righteousness comes from God. But we know we're sinners, and we've accepted that we're sinners, and we've asked for forgiveness. So the wicked will be cut off, verse 34, and all sinners will be destroyed, and the future of the wicked will be cut off, verse 38. So we can take comfort in that even though, especially in the troublesome times that we're having right now with the way the economy is and the governments and the world in general, um, God's got a plan. He's got it under control. And a time is coming, and I believe it's coming very soon, a lot sooner than what we would like to think. And yeah, if you haven't considered a relationship with Jesus, I'd ask that you think about it. Like we need it, because if we don't have that relationship with Him, we're doomed. It says so in Psalm 37. You can read what happens to the wicked. They'll be cut off, and they vanish and wither, and yeah, they don't get anything. Death. And it's scary. I pray for my family and my friends. I don't want to have anybody left behind. God doesn't want anybody left behind. He's been very patient with us, given us a lot of time to come to our senses and come to Him. But a time is coming when that grace period will be over. So, yeah. It scares me to think that some people that I've loved in the past who are gone, I didn't know where their relationship with Jesus is, and yeah, it's scary to think that I may not see them again. Only God knows where our heart is, truly. So, but yeah, I urge everybody to, you know, seek the Lord. Come to Him. Take refuge in Him. Hold His hand. Let Him hold your hand. And accept the gift of salvation that He gives us through His Son, Jesus Christ. So, I'll pray for you all. And take care. Until next time, God bless.